What's up, guys, and welcome back to Will Sports Talk. So we are officially in Conference Championship Week, and I'm going to start off this video by actually revealing my top 8 for the playoff, since we still have 8 teams in contention for this thing. Really, my top 8 is, for the first time this season, no different than the original top 8 that was just revealed. I'm going to go over my top 8, and then I'm actually going to go over some of the ways that each team can make the playoff. Number 1, Georgia. Obviously, undefeated all year. They look really good on the season. Obviously, if they win out, they're in. A lot of people are saying that this SEC championship game does not matter for Georgia. That they are going to be in either way. I honestly disagree. I honestly believe, because of Georgia's resume, that I don't think they can afford to lose this game. Obviously, they've played Tennessee, they've played Missouri. Pretty decent competition there. They played Ole Miss, who's obviously a really good team. But I think Georgia is in a spot right now to where they cannot afford to lose this game. So I think if Georgia was to lose this game, I think they fall out of the top 4 and out of the playoff. So I think this is a must win for Georgia. 2, Michigan. And honestly, Michigan is the only team that right now has secured their spot in the playoff. I think Michigan's a lock for the playoff. I think all they have to do is beat Iowa. And honestly, Michigan, they're favored by like 1,000 in this game. If they lose to Iowa, they deserve to go to the house. Number 3, Washington. Coming off that big win against their rivals, Washington State, in the last second of the game. Washington's a team, obviously, winning, they're in. If they lose, they're out of the playoff. Number 4, Florida State. Now, I think Florida State is in a pretty sticky situation right now. I think Florida State is kind of in a lose-lose situation. Obviously, they don't have Jordan Travis. So, obviously, they play Louisville in the ACC championship. Obviously, if they lose that game, they're out. But I think even if they win this game, the committee has to have a conversation. Can Florida State, with a backup quarterback, without Jordan Travis, compete with a Georgia, compete with a Michigan, compete with a Washington, compete with a Texas and Alabama, with a backup quarterback, if they were to make the playoff? Can they be competitive? Can they win those games? And I honestly don't know if they can. Number 5, Oregon. Obviously, their situation, they win and they're in. Number 6 is Ohio State. My opinion, obviously, this one is not happening. Ohio State, they just don't have the resume. They haven't really played anybody all year. Their offense has been kind of sluggish. And Ohio State not having a conference title, obviously the committee has weighed heavy in recent years on conference titles. So without that conference title, that's going to kill Ohio State going forward. And I honestly think a college football playoff is out of the picture for Ohio State. Texas at number 7. They coming off that big win in rivalry week. Texas, they're obviously playing Oklahoma State in their conference championship. Texas is in a situation to where Number one, they obviously need to beat Oklahoma State. And then Texas is going to need some help along the way as well. I think they're going to have Oregon lose. They're going to have Georgia win, Oregon win, and I think they're going to need Louisville to win as well if they want to have a shot at the playoff. Then number 8, Alabama. A lot of people are saying that if Alabama beats Georgia, they ought to go to the SEC championship. If they do beat Georgia, that will obviously be the best win of the season in college football. But I honestly disagree. I think Alabama has to beat Georgia, and I think they need some help along the way too if they're going to make the playoff. I think they're going to have Texas lose if they want to have a chance at the playoff, because obviously you've got to take head-to-head in consideration, and Texas obviously had that big week 2 win against Alabama. So I think Alabama's in a situation where they need to beat Georgia and they need Texas to lose to Oklahoma State if they want any shot at the playoff. So now I want to go over some scores from this past week. On my first game, Texas absolutely destroyed Texas Tech 57-7 to keep their college football playoff hopes alive. Oregon defeating Oregon State in very good fashion, 31-7 to keep their hopes alive in the playoff. Kentucky upsetting Louisville 38-31 to officially vanish any type of small hope Louisville had for an outside chance at the playoff. That is now over. Washington barely escaping Washington State 24-21 to keep all of their Pac-12 hopes, their college football playoff hopes alive. Florida State edging out a win against Florida 24-15 to keep their college football playoffs hopes alive. This game, obviously both teams had a backup quarterback. Florida State's going to have a backup quarterback the rest of the year in Rodemaker. So that is a huge hit, as I mentioned earlier in this video, for Florida State. Georgia struggling against Georgia Tech, winning this game 31-23. Got Alabama beating Auburn in the Iron Bowl in an absolute slugfest. 27-24. Alabama wins this game in an unbelievable way, getting basically a Hail Mary in the last seconds of this game to hold on and win the rivalry game. Then you got Michigan defeating Ohio State 30-24, winning this game for the 3rd straight year. And this game, with Ohio State losing this game 3 times in a row, if I'm Ohio State, Ryan Day is on the hot seat. Excuse me, my cat jumped on the table. If I'm Ohio State, Ryan Day is on the hot seat. He has yet to beat Michigan and has yet to make a playoff. Ohio State has got to think about making a change. So now I want to go into my picks for championship week. My first game, I have Oregon and Washington. As I said it earlier, these two teams played earlier in the year. Washington won this matchup. I see this game being a lot different as of right now. I just feel like Oregon's a lot better team now. I like the plus 9.5 for Oregon, and I like Oregon to win this game. My second game, I got Oklahoma State and Texas. I see this being a defensive back and forth game. Really, Oklahoma State's only hope is to be able to run the ball against Texas, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. So with that being said, I do like the 14.5 for Oklahoma State, but I like Texas to win this game. My third game is Michigan and Iowa. Michigan's a 23.5 point favorite. The only thing Iowa has is a defense. Their offense is absolute trash. In the end, I don't believe they're going to keep up with Michigan. I have Michigan blowing out Iowa. Fourth game is Louisville and Florida State. Florida State, backup quarterback. Louisville looking really good here recently. They did have that upset against Kentucky. Honestly, with the situation Florida State's in, I just feel like Louisville's a better team in this game. I like the plus 2.5 for Louisville, and I like Louisville to win this ball game. And then lastly, the big one, the SEC championship, Georgia and Alabama. Both fighting for a playoff spot, in my opinion. This is going to be a low-scoring slugfest, an absolute back-and-forth defensive game. Alabama has really turned it on the second half of the season. Georgia has shown their struggles here lately. But honestly, right now, looking like the best team in the country. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I like the -6 here for Georgia. And I honestly like Georgia to go into Atlanta and beat Alabama Saturday. So, without being said, that concludes my video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know what y'all think. And I will see y'all next week.